Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Arsenal will have to make significant contribution to force 28-year-old to move. Arsenal are likely to have to make a significant contribution to force Nicolas Pepe to leave the club. Journalist Alex Crook was speaking on TalkSPORT and provided an update on the Ivorian international's future. The English transfer window might be closed, but players can still depart the Emirates. Youngster Marcelo Flores looks set to be heading out of the door without making a first-team appearance. There are still senior players that Mikel Arteta and Edu would like to move on. Cedric Soares still doesn't have a permanent club, despite efforts to sell him this summer. He is still looking for a way out too, as it's unlikely he will be part of the club's Premier League or Champions League squad. Nicolas Pepe has been on Arsenal's unwanted list for some time, as he is not in Arteta's plans. Crook has now suggested that Arsenal will have to make a contribution to Pepe's contract whenever he moves on. It's not an ideal situation, but it's still better than paying his £140,000 a week wage in full. Speaking about the 28-year-old's future, Crook said, I think Nicolas Pepe, despite the fact that it hasn't really worked out for him at Arsenal, obviously came with a massive transfer fee of more than £70 million, albeit paid off in several years' worth of installments. He is one of the top earners, as I understand it, at the Emirates, and I think Arsenal, as I understand it, will have to make a significant contribution to his wages. He's got 9 months left on his contract. I'm sure those discussions are taking place. I know they are in fact to try and find a solution. As you say, there has been interest from Turkey. I think Besiktas is a genuine possible destination for Pepe. Arsenal fans won't be happy if Pepe has left the club, but they are still making a contribution to his wages. His move to the Emirates has not gone to plan, with the Gunners overspending and Pepe under-delivering. He is once again on the verge of leaving, but this isn't the first time he's looked close to an exit. £3 million Arsenal player still wants to find a way to leave the club now, says a journalist. The transfer window has been closed for a few days now, but Arsenal still have some business to tend to. Indeed, the Gunners may not be making any more signings, but they need to shift a few players in the coming days as other transfer windows across the world come to an end. Of course, the headline name is Nicolas Pepe, but Cedric Soares also remains at the club, and according to Charles Watts, speaking on Inside Arsenal, the £3 million defender does still want to find a way to leave Arsenal, but as of yet, nothing has come up for him. Watts shared what he knows about the defender. He said, I don't know if it's worth just keeping Cedric around now. I know he isn't going to play very often, but I think that's probably wise. I know Cedric wants to go, and he has been looking to move. Nothing has come up yet, and there is still possibility that can happen, but I do look and wonder if it's worth keeping him around now for the first half of the season at least. Cedric wants to leave Arsenal, but he doesn't have long to find himself a move now. With each passing day, more and more windows across Europe are closing as we come out of the summer, and so is Cedric's window of opportunity. Moves to Saudi Arabia and Turkey are still options, but these moves will have to come around quickly if the fullback is going to get what he wants and find a new club. Arsenal now have a generational player considered to be as valuable as PSG's Kylian Mbappe. Arsenal's Hale End graduate Bukayo Saka is now considered to be as valuable as Paris Saint-Germain Kylian Mbappe. That's according to the CIES Football, who value the two forwards at £172 million. Saka and Mbappe sit joint second in the worldwide list along with Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham and Rodrigo. The four are only bettered by Vinicius Jr. and Manchester City's Erling Haaland, and this perceived value shouldn't really be a surprise in a week in which Saka has been named England's Men's Player of the Year and nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Although Such transfer values are always open to interpretation. Arsenal fans will surely be proud to see Saka up there with the world's best like Mbappe. The 22-year-old has had a meteoric rise through Arsenal's academy and now could be perceived as the best player at the club. Saka's talent wasn't always recognized by all of his coaches, though. Former Arsenal Academy manager Jonker earlier admitted that he didn't expect Saka to reach Arsenal's first team. Such can be the uncertainty of academy football. Arsenal fans may also be interested to know that the same transfer tool values Gabriel Martinelli at £129 million. Mikel Arteta will surely be so pleased to have both players newly signed on two long-term contracts. The two are already at the forefront of Arteta's project, which is hoping to hit new heights this season. Also not mentioned high up on this CIES list, Declan Rice has already been a transformative signing for Arsenal. Rice was brilliant in all aspects of his game against Manchester United, and some Arsenal fans might be surprised that he isn't considered as valuable as the likes of Saka and Mbappe. Nonetheless, Arsenal will be much more focused with their progress on the pitch rather than the value of star performers, but it's certainly nice to see a generational talent like Saka being recognized as one of the world's best. Attacker Arsenal signed for just £27 million, now said to be worth just as much as Mykhailo Mudryk. Arsenal have made some absolutely amazing signings in recent years. Indeed, the likes of William Saliba, Gabriel Martinelli, and Martin Odegaard may well be considered some of the best signings of the modern Premier League era. But perhaps Arsenal's best bit of business involved a player they didn't sign. Cast your mind back to January, and you will remember that Arsenal were ready to pay £80 million for Mykhailo Mudryk. Ultimately, the winger would end up at Chelsea, and 9 months and 0 goals later, it looks like Arsenal had a lucky escape here. The Gunners instead opted to sign Leandro Trossard for £27 million, and while he is not necessarily been a star player for Arsenal, he's been more than good enough in terms of value for money. Interestingly, in the ever-changing landscape of football valuations, Trossard is now said to be worth just as much as Mudryk. According to CIES, a sports data observatory, Trossard's value is now absolutely equal to Mudryk at £25 million, despite the massive gap in valuation in the January window. Of course, Mudryk is much younger and may still end up having the higher ceiling, but after his shocking start to life at Stamford Bridge, the Ukrainian's value has tumbled rapidly over the past few months, while Trossard has steadily risen. These two players are always going to be linked due to the fact their transfer sagas were so intertwined, and now, more than ever, it appears that Arsenal got the better end of the deal here in getting Trossard instead of Mudryk. Arsenal very rarely get it wrong in the transfer window these days, and this whole saga is a prime example of the Gunners getting it so right. Kevin Campbell says immense Arsenal player is way off his best at the moment. Declan Rice has arrived at Arsenal. The midfielder scored a vital goal against Manchester United at the weekend, and it really feels as though he has now announced himself in North London. However, according to Kevin Campbell, speaking on the Highbury Squad YouTube channel, Rice hasn't actually been at his best so far for Arsenal. Indeed, according to Campbell, Rice is currently playing at just 65% capacity, suggesting that the midfielder has so much more to give to this Arsenal team. Campbell shared his verdict on the midfielder. He said, "I'm going to be really honest with you. I truly think that Declan Rice is only working to about 60 to 65% capacity of his talent at the moment. I really do. I say that because you are seeing him in games try things where he drives and he is trying to play 1-2s around the box, and sometimes it comes off and sometimes it doesn't. He is learning to play the system. It's been 4 games and he's been immense in all 4. Imagine when he has 24 games under his belt, his ceiling is massive." Declan Rice has been very solid for Arsenal so far, and the idea that he could still improve in the coming weeks is scary to say the least. Arsenal haven't quite gotten out of second gear so far this season, but once Rice starts puring, the rest of the team should follow suit. Arsenal could well be title challengers this season, and Rice playing at his best will certainly help the Gunners achieve their goals. Kevin Campbell now says 26-year-old Arsenal star makes all of his teammates better. Kevin Campbell has said that Arsenal forward Gabriel Jesus makes all of his teammates better when he plays. Campbell was speaking on the Hyper Squad YouTube channel off the back of Arsenal's 3-1 win over Manchester United. It's a result that Arsenal fans now get 2 weeks to reflect on over the international break. Plenty of Mikel Arteta's squad set off around the world to represent their respective nations. One of those to leave slightly later than his teammates is Gabriel Jesus, who received a late call-up to the Brazil squad. The 26-year-old has only just returned from injury, coming off the bench in Arsenal's last 2 matches. He's only played 16 minutes of competitive football since having a small operation on his knee. However, Arsenal scored twice while he was on the pitch on Sunday, with the Brazilian confirming the result in the 101st minute. Campbell has suggested that Jesus makes all of his Arsenal teammates better when he's on the pitch. It's a fantastic asset to have, and pundits are now urging Arteta to start him after the international break. Speaking about the Brazilian forward, Campbell said, "If he scores in the first minute, that might be 1-1 because we give goals away so early. It's crazy. At the end of the day, I think we are going to have to lean on Gabriel Jesus a bit more this season. I'm not happy that he had this injury early, but if that means we can have him fully fit for the rest of the season, I will take it. You could see what he can do. He is such a great player, and he makes other players better. He makes other people better. He can drop a shoulder and change a game, and if he can keep scoring goals, he got double figures last season and he was out for 3 months. If he can get 5-10 goals in those 3 months in comparison, he will probably be near 18-20 goals. That's what we need. We need somebody who is going to be top goal scorer as our main guy if we are going to usurp Man City. He's got that unknown factor that he can produce. Jesus will hope that he can fulfill Campbell's prediction and continue to make his teammates better. Arsenal looked like an incredible unit and better than the sum of their parts last season. They have not quite hit those heights this year yet, although that might be because Arteta has made a few tweaks to his starting lineup. The 26-year-old will hope to prove he is fit enough to start ahead of Edin Ketia against Everton. Arsenal player is now about to leave the club permanently. Arsenal youngster Marcelo Flores is now close to finalizing a permanent move away from the club. Journalist Charles Watts shared the update on social media, with exit still being negotiated at the Emirates this summer. Arsenal have done some great business in the transfer window this summer when it comes to incomings. Declan Rice is a game-changing addition to the squad and already performing excellently. The jury is still out on Kai Havertz, while Ivorian Timber picking up a serious injury on the opening day of the Premier season is desperately unlucky. Arsenal haven't had as much luck when it comes to selling their unwanted players. Nicolas Pepe and Cedric Soares are currently both still at the club. There will be disappointment that Rob Holding left for just £4 million when Spurs managed to negotiate a £12.8 million deal for Davinson Sanchez this summer. Getting value for money for their players has never been a strong point for the Gunners, but at least the squad has been thinned out. Another Arsenal player on the move is Marcelo Flores, who looks set to return to his native Mexico. The excellent 19-year-old spent last season on loan at Real Oviedo in Spain and was regularly featuring for the under-21s this year. Posting on social media, Watts said, "Marcelo Flores is close to a permanent move away from Arsenal. The 19-year-old is finalizing a move to Tigers in Mexico." Flores never made a senior appearance for the Gunners, but did feature on the bench against Crystal Palace In 2022, the attacking midfielder was born in Canada but has chosen to represent Mexico and has already made 3 senior appearances. He received rave reviews during his time in Spain last season, and there was even a suggestion Arsenal might recall him. There was a suggestion Arsenal had extended Flores' contract 6 months ago, but the fact he is now on the move suggests that might not have been the case. It's understandable why Flores has chosen to leave now, with no call up to the first team on the horizon. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.